Welcome back to The Big Show. We're at I'm Sorry I Haven't a Clue today, talking to the big stars, and we've got Tim Brooke-Taylor and Jeremy Hardy, the two people that always make everybody laugh, and that's nice because there's a lot of people in the world, and you two have been picked to be part of this quiz. You must be thrilled.
Well, Tim was picked about 85 years ago, so the novelty's probably worn off for him.
The question I haven't asked yet is about Humph and when this whole thing changed this year. Did you worry that it should be brought back, and when it was brought back, did you feel it was okay?
Well, we'd talked about this for a long time before, and Willie Rushton and I talked about it, and we said if Humph goes, or actually, of course, sadly Willie went first, and the thing we said is if we still wanted to do it, we'd do it. But when Humph died, we all felt, well, I'm not sure, but at the same time, we knew he wanted it to go on, but we thought we'd leave it for a bit because, well, apart from anything else, he was missing very much in our lives, and he was very much part of the show. Now, what we weren't quite sure is whether people would accept it without the great Humph, and happily they have. And it was interesting that a lot of the journalists were saying, no, you shouldn't bring it back. And then after 6 months, they're saying, actually, I think you should bring it back. So that helped.
And for you, Jeremy, when you were invited to be part of the programme, I know it was a long while ago now, in the 90s, how did you feel when you were sat around these legends, and of course Humph's there, and then he's this side, and Barry's the other side? Is there any intimidation, or were you just happy to be there?
It was really odd because it was a programme that I'd listened to as a child. So it was stepping into something, it was just nice to be present, really. I didn't really, whether I said what I said didn't really matter to me. It was just nice to be sort of on the, involved and just in the room, really.
Have you mastered the key to what makes a great quiz? Because what I've noticed is something like Mock the Week to me can be uncomfortable at times. I'll talk to you about this because you've been on it. Because it becomes competitive. You can't really have too much of that, especially with a radio quiz.
Well, I think the whole point of Clue, as far as I'm concerned, is we're all trying to keep the balls in the air. We're not trying to knock them out of each other's hands. And it is true. You work with people and you actually can help get the joke towards them. But as you say, with Mock the Week, there's some very good people on it, but you do seem to think, calm down, lads, calm down, just be funny, interrelate with each other, and I would laugh even more. But I know that's true with Clue. It's very important. When the producers asked me who I'd like to have on the show, I've always said people that I know are team people that actually want to share the fun.
Does somebody whisper in your ear kind of how to do this when you start on the programme, or do you just have to kind of fit in?
I can't remember. I suppose it's about 15 years ago that I saw, maybe less, but not about that. No, you just have to kind of fit in. I mean, but because because you've heard it for so many years, you kind of are very cautious anyway. It's not like starting on a new thing, which might turn into a vehicle for you. It's a question of very carefully joining a work in progress without messing it up. So that's your priority, is more not to sort of mess up what's already established than to sort of show off, really.
But you can also bring extra things to it, like Jeremy brings a fine singing voice, which is very important to the programme. I'm sorry, I don't know why you're laughing, Jeremy.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
I'd never really thought about my singing voice because I've never actually sung in public until I had to do. The first time I sang was, Willie was on, and I sat down and Willie said, "I smell points," and and now occasionally I sing in tune, and everyone gets very upset. But I can't really tell if I'm in tune or not, and it's statistically it's inevitable. If the number of times I sing from time to time, it's like a broken clock. It's right twice a day.
Would it be fair to say you're no Andrea Bocelli?
If I knew what you meant, yes.
Rather delicious pasta, I think you'll find us. Yes, you could enjoy it.
I'm an al dente Bocelli.
And as for the show itself, when you're there in front of the audience, do we hear an edited version, or is it as it is?
It is edited, yes, because we can take more risks that way. We can actually do sometimes they turn out very well, but they think, oh, this won't work. Well, let's try it. And the audience will latch onto it, so it's worth it. It's always important to have it edited because that allows us to take more risks.
All right, we're going to take a piece of music and we'll be back with the two big stars. We're also going to talk to Jack D as well. Back with Tim and Jeremy next. We're back with our remaining moments with the stars of I'm Sorry I Haven't a Clue, which is touring the country, and it'll be back on Radio 4 forever, really, because it has no sign of going away. And that's not easy, is it, to find a quiz that works forever? Some of them seem to come and go.
Yes, I mean, it's been plundered shamelessly by other shows, and it's influenced a lot of other shows. Whole rounds of Clue rounds appear on TV programs that we won't mention, like Mock the Week. I think that the charm of it, which is what Tim was pointing out, is it's like four kids building a snowman together, whereas other shows are populated by the sort of kid who wants to come up and knock the head off somebody else's snowman. And we're just very patiently, calmly trying to, and all the jokes are shared, and nobody cares who said what when or something, you know. So I think it's the affection for each other and for the show that listeners have that keeps it going. Because, as I say, I mean, everything that we do has been nicked by other people pretty much, apart from Mornington Crescent. So I think it's affection for the people involved.
Is plagiarism a compliment, or is it hugely frustrating?
It's a compliment, but at the same time, if they could just send the money to me, it would be very helpful.
Tim, you've been very lucky because in your career you've worked with such legends, and of course the Footlights played a major part in the beginnings. Were those days as exciting and wonderful as we hear now in all these many documentaries that are made about it?
I would put it another way and say those people have been very lucky working with me. But no, I have been very lucky. You're quite right from the beginning, and that's my point of teamwork. That I've been grateful for working with people right from the beginning, and I know I wouldn't have had the confidence on my own to go on my own. I admire people like Jeremy who can do stand-up on their own. I can do it for a little bit, but suddenly I think I'm standing about 12 feet above me saying, you are rubbish. And that's not a good thing. But when you're with somebody else, you can throw things and they'll laugh and they'll throw it back. So yes, I've been lucky, and so have they.
That would seem to be my observation about you in this show, that you don't try and steal it and do that stand-up thing where you try and take the limelight. That's not easy for someone with a huge ego, is it?
No, but I haven't got a huge ego.
Not huge.
But to be a stand-up comedian, you've got to have a bit of one, or you wouldn't want the spotlight on, would you?
I think you've got to have a bit of one to start with, and then you have a mortgage, and so you keep going to pay that. I mean, I've realised now how irritating new comedians. I mean, I was probably exactly the same, but when you see new comedians, they're so desperate and hungry and ambitious, and you just want to trip them up, really.
Does it bother you as well, the money in comedy now? I mean, you look at this show and it's coming on tour and everybody's buying the tickets, totally sold out across the UK. But there's comedians who 2 years ago we hadn't heard of doing arenas and selling out endless nights. The business of comedy has changed, hasn't it?
I'm all for them selling out. What I do regret is during the 70s when we were doing the goodies and things, that we could have done some great goodies tours and some visual events and O2 Arena for a year, no problems. So I do regret missing that because I think that would have been fun. But I don't begrudge other people money. Well, yes, I do.
How do you feel about it?
Well, to be honest, I mean, there's lots of people that I like that I wouldn't actually want to go and see in an arena. I mean, I went to see Prince at the O2, which was a spectacular show, but even that, the after party was better because he did it in a smaller club that was about 300 seats, and that was great. So, I mean, why go and see something and end up watching a big TV screen along the side of the stage? You know, I mean, I'd like to be able to sell the O2 Arena, but I don't think I'd enjoy it if I could, because I like to see my audience and I like to feel in the same space as my audience. I mean, with this, there's a lot of us on stage, so it doesn't feel so empty. And we're in some pretty big venues. I mean, venues that I certainly couldn't sell on my own. But I've never enjoyed being in a huge venue, or, you know, just standing on the middle of the stage, because I don't do very much. I think somebody like Lee Evans, who runs around and, you know, he sort of fills the space and it seems appropriate. But for a solo stand-up, I don't think you can beat an intimate venue, really.
Well, congratulations on the show and your success and both of your careers. You've really mastered the art of what you do, and I'm so looking forward to the show tonight. And we're going to play more clips from I'm Sorry I Haven't a Clue in a moment from now, but for the moment, Tim and also Jeremy, thank you for talking to me.
Pleasure.
Happy Christmas.